Hey everyone, welcome back to another great episode of Jujutsu Kaisen Watch Along Pod. If you've been joining us for the last 3 weeks, welcome back. We're glad to have you, and we've got a great, exciting episode ahead. I'm here with my co-host DK, whose imminent domain is the most perfect place in the world.
And this is Kevin Ketcham, the NerdyJock, and the opposite of Kevin Ketcham is indifference.
Oh yeah.
Kevin.
Yes.
What the hell are we watching?
What the hell are we watching? I don't know. You guys tell us, because we are into something very interesting here.
These 4 episodes
Yes.
took me on such an emotional ride.
It's a roller coaster.
I mean, okay, I had emotional whiplash because in the previous episode, we're setting up the school thing, right?
Exactly.
We're setting up a school exchange event, a festival, or whatever, and then all of a sudden we're treated to these 4 incredibly dark episodes,
Deep and also important episodes for overall plot building too.
and character.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there was like a whole thread that is being built and then just snipped away so cruelly.
Exactly.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I was ready for a little bit of levity, you know, because it's been a roller coaster ride. There have been really, really high moments and very, very low moments, and these next 4, these do not let up at all.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
And I had to remember, as I was thinking about how tonally there's whiplash and all this stuff, I had to remember, well, Gojo did say that part of Yuji's debut is that he was going to have to go on a crazy special mission, or a couple of them,
Right.
to get experience, and then he would debut at the school exchange. But I don't know that Gojo thought that Yuji would get this level of experience.
No, I think that's even mentioned in the anime, because Nanami's having a conversation with Gojo about what he went through. You know, so we're not really watching ahead, but we are just we're flustered. We're kind of flustered here because we don't know where the show is. The best word to describe the show, in my opinion, is bipolar. You know,
Yeah.
like I think it's like it is the highest of highs to lowest of lows, sometimes within scenes.
Yeah.
Not even like next scene or 2 scenes later. Like it can go from extraordinarily fun and lighthearted to dramatic and like literally involving mass deaths.
Yeah, I mean, if there were 3 ingredients that made Jujutsu Kaisen, it would just be RPG level world building,
Right.
constantly, moments of extreme levity and fun and humor,
So funny.
and character stuff, and then just really, really dark, terrible,
Yeah.
you know, like we're going to put the characters through the worst case scenario
Right.
constantly.
And then watch them jump back the next scene too sometimes. So
Right. And these 4 episodes in particular, I was just like, this isn't a shonen typical story
Right.
anymore. I thought that's where we were going.
Yeah.
The one thing I can say about the author is that his propensity to surprise me with his plot and character choices, especially at a time when we've had 40 years of this shonen
Right.
thing, and it kind of feels like maybe all the stories have been told the longer it goes, but it's like, no, these 4 really surprised me.
Right, yeah. So we are going to cover episodes 9 through 12 this episode. So like I said, catch up on 1 through 8 on our previous 2 pods, and this is number 3 we're going to be getting into here today.
Right, and this will be filled with spoilers, as
Tons
always.
of spoilers, so be careful. And just so you do know, we are noobs. Just another warning, please, if you're watching on YouTube or you're commentating on social media, we love you and we're so thankful for that. But also just save it to the end, or don't even like spoil it for us. Just say, oh, a thumbs up, or you're onto something here. That's about as much as we want to hear, or even less than that.
Right.
Just don't spoil it for us. We are noobs. We are not watching ahead. We are not reading ahead. But we are doing, we are reading and watching reading the manga and watching the anime 4 episodes at a time.
I honestly love that you guys have been doing that too. Every
Right.
time somebody tells us that we're kind of on the right track, it drives me crazy. Like,
Yeah.
wait, we're on the right track in what way? But
Yeah.
that's good because it's keeping us excited about what could happen in the story, what the possibilities are. So thank you for that. And also, as of this record, thank you to the 620 people who are kindly enough to subscribe to this channel. So thank you so much.
Little round of applause. And also, I have one more thank you to shout out right now. One of our other Patreon supporters, Luis, we're going to give you a nice shout out. He sent us a Super Saiyan 1 Goku Dragon Ball figure, which will feature on the Cell Saga coming up. And I'll show you a cool picture of him on this episode as well. He just got a full back tattoo with Mahito's domain expansion.
That's awesome.
With the fingers. It's all over his back. It's the self-realization of, what's it called?
Oh man, ideal transfiguration, but I forget what the domain was called. Yeah,
we'll get to in the episode, but he actually has like a huge full back art tattoo of Mahito's imminent domain,
Yakuza style.
I'm just going to call it imminent domain from like here on out. I got to get over that.
Eminent domain, innate domain,
innate domain expansion.
You could just call it domain expansion.
Yeah, domain expansion.
It might save it, but yeah, I mean, when I listened through to our last episode,
AT field,
the amount of times we said imminent domain, so I was just like, oh no, god.
I kind of shook my head like, God, Kevin, you gotta get better at that. But you know what? We're just here to have a great time.
We are. We're first years. Don't haze us. Don't paddle us. You know. We're jumping into this, and thank you so much to was it Luis or
Luis?
Yeah, thank you so much
and
for
Joel for the server and Luis for the figures.
Joel, I'm so sorry. In the last episode, I didn't thank you for the server. The server is huge.
Yeah,
it's helping us so much. I blew right past it, but I appreciate everybody who's supporting this, everybody who's giving us stuff, helping us grow.
Yeah.
It's just been really fun to do this. It's been fun talking about Dragon Ball, which we know and love, and now exploring the incredibly dark and twisted world of Jujutsu Kaisen.
It's so crazy. But so let's get into it, right?
Let's do it, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess, do you want to give us a quick breakdown of episode 9, and then we'll go a little deeper?
I do. Quick reminder, follow us on all the social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X, Twitter.
Watch on YouTube,
whatever.
Subscribe, like. We love you. Thank you.
Yeah, if you don't know, if you found us on a podcast thing like Spotify or Apple or Amazon Music or wherever you get your podcast, there's a sometimes visual component to this podcast.
Right.
Actually, in the first episode, we completely revamped the podcast, and we did a cool little thing where we actually had clips of specific animation sequences playing behind us as we talked about them, so people could kind of relive those moments, or if you haven't seen it, you could see it for the first time and maybe whet your appetite.
Really cool.
Yeah, like maybe I want to actually watch this. And before it even went live, Toho gave us 5 copyright strikes, so we had to take it off and an emergency re-edit with clips and stuff like that. So we are disputing those now, but it's 30 days per dispute.
We'll see. But we still love you, Toho. We're thankful. You know, please let us do our thing, because we just want to show love and support.
Yeah. I mean, it's internationally, America has fair use laws, Japan doesn't.
Yeah.
So with YouTube, it can get a little dicey. But generally, I think that this content will be live later, and you'll be able to see the podcast in its full glory. But in the meantime, you can just stare at Kevin and my faces if you want to watch on YouTube. And his muscles. I mean, he's the NerdyJock for a reason.
I'm the Toto of the group. For sure.
Oh, for sure. He is definitely the Toto. All right, let's jump right in.
Let's go into it.
Episode 9, Small Fry and Reverse Retribution. Yeah, I mean, this is thematically, tonally, where we left off in the last episode. Some kids got murdered in a movie theater, and we see that this kind of Shinji-esque character followed Mahito into an alley and said, "Hey, was that you?" And now we're learning a little bit more about this kid.
Oh, Junpei. Young Junpei.
He's not having a good time in high school.
He's not having a good time. It does open up. I think it does open up. He was watching at the theater was Human Earthworm 3. Right. It's a horror film. Obviously, the creator of this manga and anime series, Gigi. Hopefully I pronounced her name right. Gege Akutami. He loves Western cinema, and so this Human Earthworm 3 is obviously a direct parody of the Human Centipede. Totally. So just wanted a quick shout out, because every time they do make a reference to Western cinema, we like to just point that out too. Right. We've got a theme cooking where curses come from negative feelings, and it has already said that, curses pop up at schools because there are a lot of problems in Japanese schools with bullying and all this stuff, and adults looking the other way, and even students looking the other way and stuff like that. So this kid, Junpei, he's just getting bullied. A girl accuses him of, he was looking at my boobs, and then 4 dudes are just beating the crap out of him.
and he's, he just has these tortured thoughts about it. It's, tough to watch. This kind of stuff.
We even see that he has cigarette burns on his forehead, like permanent cigarette burns. So it's like, dude, and he's just hides it with his hair, which is really another sad moment.
Yeah, he has to grow emo hair to hide the cause of his emo-ness.
Yeah, and it's crazy because these 3 bullies in the theater are the ones that picked on Junpei, right?
Right.
And so it is important to note that not only is he watching the cinema where these 3 students or classmates died, this scene is actually a great representative of foreshadowing for the next 4 episodes of just the grotesque nature of what's going to happen in these episodes and how terrifying it is, and just that you could see the worst of humanity, but also the worst in the curses as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm feeling a lot of the Evangelion themes with this character. He had a line that really stuck with me where he said, if I had the ability to kill everyone I hated, I wouldn't do it. But if I had the ability to kill everyone who hated me, I would.
Right. That's a great line there, and it's like that one's a deep cut right there, and it does match really well with Junpei and Shinji Ikari's isolation and hedgehog dilemma, as they talk about, and I think episode 3 or 4 of Evangelion,
where it's like you kind of you're tortured by the connections that you have with people, positive and negative,
right?
And you don't want to make those things worse yourself, but you want to just push everything away. It's like, well, everybody is doing this to me, I'm gonna just if everyone does this to me, they can just go die, basically.
And so he keeps people at a distance, it seems like.
Yeah, but I mean that movie theater scene. So I mean, for those of you who don't remember, obviously Mahito, there's a cool little animation where he springs into being, and then he touches the kids' heads. Which, as dark as this scene was, I have to say that I also hate it when people talk during a movie.
Yes. It's a pet peeve of everyone's, I think.
Yeah, not just for the annoyance factor, but my dad hated it so much when I was a kid that if anybody even whispered one thing during a movie, he would pick me and my brother up and he would make us leave the movie.
Wow.
So I always have that anxiety. It's a trigger when I'm in a movie theater when I hear anybody talk, or I'm like, oh no, this is just all gonna end now. Now I'm not gonna get to watch the movie. But what Mahito does to these kids, it's Junji Ito level. The way he disfigures and deforms them, it's just really, really grotesque.
Yeah. Weird, sick artwork in his design.
Right. I mean, and then everything just starts blending into where we left off. I mean, obviously, Yuji is there with a new character, Nanami. I will find. Oh, Kento, Nanami Kento.
Yeah, super cool character, by the way.
Love this guy.
Glad to meet Nanami. I was wondering who he was. Saw a couple photos of him before.
Right.
We didn't really know who he was. We saw him in a teaser before. Mentioned, okay, they're going to the theater. Check that out. And you're like, who is this Nanami guy? Mr. Straight Arrow, but really, really cool character.
Akatami plays with a lot of duality with his characters because it's always a character is the opposite of another character, and we're gonna get more into that as we go. But Nanami is very much the anti-Gojo.
Oh, he's definitely the anti-Gojo. They couldn't be further apart. Gojo's always making jokes. Nanami's super serious. Gojo, I guess that's it. Actually, Nanami's all about business. Gojo's all about having fun. And it's just whatever one side of the spectrum is, Nanami's on, Gojo's on the other.
Right. Nanami is the child that grew into a man. Yeah. Gojo is the boy who will never grow up. Exactly. Gojo's the Peter Pan. Nanami is I guess, Captain Hook.
So they're investigating this murder, right, in the theater. And it's pretty interesting because Nanami asks Yuji if he can see the residual cursed technique. And Yuji's like, what do you mean residual cursed technique? And we see a quick little bleep on the ground, like these footsteps from Mahito. So we can actually track down what's been going on.
Right, yeah. And I mean, it's just more world building here, which I thought was pretty cool. There is, in some cases in this show, a little heavy-handed on the exposition.
Right.
But it does make sense when a older, more experienced sorcerer is teaching Yuji about the world.
Right.
You should be able to see these footprints, and a seasoned sorcerer could actually sense them before he even sees them.
And then he literally just focuses, and then he's basically able to see it.
Right.
So, that's a quick note, quick learn, and now they're off to the races.
Right.
But, we do see a bit where They follow these footsteps, and it's basically up to the roof of the building, actually.
Yeah, where we immediately just behind them, there's
Right.
a curse that just crawls out.
Yeah.
A battle ensues. We get to see Nanami's cool technique, which I thought was pretty interesting. The way that the techniques are so specialized, where it's the rule of 7-3, where he
Right.
can just find a perfect weak point. He's got like a wrapped sushi knife or some kind of knife that he can just cut the weak point of anything.
Right. I mean, we know this guy is good at numbers, right? He's good at geometry, algebra. This guy knows what he's doing. We'll see. We'll find out right here in the next episode or two. A couple more later on, I think, right? That what his job was.
Right.
You know.
Well, he even says, so we do get that little backstory, which I really liked, where he is just so jaded, where he's like, Jujutsu sorcerers are shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, the work world is also shit. So we're treated to this idea that this character, Nanami Kento, went to Jujutsu High School, and then he started being a Jujutsu sorcerer, and he's like, I hate this, whatever. I'm just going to leave and go into the civilian world and
Right.
pursue money because I'm an adult.
Yeah.
And then and then at some point, and we'll learn later why,
Right.
he was like, you know what, screw being a salaryman. I'm going to be a Jujutsu sorcerer.
And we forgot to mention that Nanami it is mentioned that he is a first grade sorcerer. So that's like a pretty high level sorcerer.
Right.
He's pretty damn good for being a guy who didn't want to be a sorcerer. He's pretty damn good at what he does.
He's pretty good. Not as strong as Gojo.
Not as strong as Gojo.
Not as strong as Gojo, but still he can hold his own, and just with his attitude and with his abilities, he can hold his own against a lot of curses and stuff like that. We also we're getting this like sort of character development with Junpei, the bullied kid, where we see the conclusion of what happened with him and Mahito in the alley, and he asks Mahito like, "Can I do that too? Can I kill people that I don't like too?"
How weird is this moment, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like you're a high school student. I know you got some issues with bowling and self-esteem. I get that, but the fact that you see this creature, this curse, this weird looking guy with cuts all over his body, touch these classmates of him and kill them and deform them in grotesque ways, and he's like, "Hey, you think you can teach me how to do that?" Like, whoa. This guy's already down a dark path.
He is a tortured soul for sure. I mean,
He is probably steaming with cursed energy.
the kid's got like 8 cigarette burns on his head though.
A lot of past trauma he's dealt with. But
yeah. So we're setting up something with him. He's an important character.
Right.
They're making a meal out of this idea that he's going to be this huge important character. Meanwhile, we've got Nanami who is instructing Yuji, giving him more world building stuff as they fight.
Right.
So like a lot of exposition, telling him what to do as Yuji is not really holding his own as well against these curses up on the roof, but is nonetheless, we can tell he's improved doing whatever training Gojo has put him through.
right. No, Gojo has definitely stepped up. A couple cool things to note about this fight sequence with Nanami and Yuji against these two curses is that they do explain that Yuji has developed a new technique called Divergent Fist.
Right.
And the point of this is that, like, literally point is that when he makes contact with an enemy or whoever he's fighting, it takes him a couple seconds later. He has a delayed reaction response for his cursed technique and cursed energy to sear through that body into the punch. So he makes the initial impact, and then like 3 seconds later, the cursed energy goes through. So unfortunately, that's not. It's helpful and it's hurtful at the same time.
Yeah.
Because we do know that like it's like a double impact. So instead of getting one shot on someone, it's actually like getting 2.
Right.
But it is delayed so that slows down that cursed energy, which actually helps land an even more effective punch.
Yeah, it's both a perfect thing for Yuji because he's so freakishly strong without the cursed energy that he can land a really solid haymaker.
And that
then
could knock someone the hell out anyway. You know?
Right. I mean, he already used it against curses to pretty good effect earlier.
Destroy them. Yeah.
And then adding that cursed energy thing, it's like, oh, okay, so this thing is good, but maybe it's also, like you were saying, a crutch.
Right.
Which he'll have to overcome later because ultimately, that delay might be the difference between ending a really dangerous curse or, I mean, obviously it didn't work against the special grade in the detention center.
Yeah, didn't work. Not at all.
Right, even though that's, I think, where he first tried it. He hadn't honed it yet, but yeah, he first tried it there. Which is really cool. I mean, like
Yeah.
the individual variability of all these techniques is really awesome. But yeah, this scene ends.
I mean, just one more thing before we end that scene is that it's pretty funny that like he does have to. It's very similar to like Dragon Ball Z power up, right? It's like he has to channel his ki and like power up to get the fight. Except thank God in JJK they don't have 10 episode ki power ups. It's only like 2 minutes, but it is kind of funny. I was like, it just totally reminded me of Dragon Ball Z. So
yeah, being on the season model now, we don't have to have 10 episodes of power ups anymore.
Exactly.
But yeah, it was kind of Dragon Ball Z esque. I would say Hunter x Hunter esque too. The way that like kind of the way he hides his punch. It was like Gon's John Ken fist attack, or maybe a little Yu Yu Hakusho as well. There's a lot of Yu Yu Hakusho vibes in this show.
Well, I think I mentioned that the first episode, episode 1 of our pod. I was like, this totally reminds me of Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's got the cursed lead. You got the fact that with dead fighting people but back alive kind of deal. A little bit playing in both worlds, and then it's like demons in high school and like fighting them there, and it's a lot of that. So this could have easily already gone off the rails as far as being not taking place at high school. But actually, I thought when they went to Jujutsu High, it would be just out in the streets. And guess what? Now they're back into high school again.
Yeah.
So it does kind of come back to that. So it does keep that theme.
And so this next thing was a cool little plot twist. I really liked where this went, where Nanami, as he's about to finish off the curse that he's fighting, sees that it has a wristwatch.
Terrible.
Pulls out his phone, takes a picture of it, and he's like, curses don't show up in photos. And then I think it's Ieri is her name, the doctor at Jujutsu High confirms, yep, those are humans.
Yeah, that watch scene was kind of sad because it's like, wow, Yuji doesn't want to kill anyone. And then as soon as he finds out that these humans have been transfigured to a curse, or, they're basically crying or asking to be murdered, most of the time, or saying something just random, or, something that might relate to their life as humans, and it's kind of sad. And that's one of those times we talked about earlier where there's moments of great high, and then there's also just right next scene, moments of really like deep lows. It's
a second beat of that thing that Gojo said in episode 3, where he said that intelligent curses will force people to make a horrible choice.
Right.
And in this case, Mahito is much more sophisticated than just, a level 1 curse or a level 4 curse or whatever. And so he's, without people even realizing it, he made Nanami basically kill a human. And Ieri seems kind of emotionless, and she's like, you know what? It doesn't matter, because at this point they're going to die anyway. The nicest thing you could do for them is kill them.
Yeah, well, she said, she using science, she did explain that, like, hey, the brainstem is immediately affected. Once Mahito changes people into curses and, use their spirit, he's like, they die basically as soon as their brainstem is transfigured and transformed. They're no longer the humans that you'd know.
Right, yeah.
So I guess it does make it a little bit easier, to kill those curses. But.
Didn't she say too? I don't remember. This I was like, there's so much world building in these 4 episodes that
so much.
It's hard to keep track of it all. But she said that by altering the brainstem, they can be taught to use cursed energy, which is maybe one of the things that Mahito did to them. Why they act and behave like curses, or have the strength to withstand some curse techniques, because they themselves can now use cursed energy because their brainstems were transfigured.
Right. Well, I know that the brainstem thing is accurate. I'm not 100% sure on that, so let us know in the notes if you remember that.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure, but that's the whole fun of this, is we're not going to know everything, but that's a great point.
So yeah, so this is Yuji's first mission, and it's already like, hey, you might have to kill horribly disfigured humans.
Yeah.
So this is the type of experience he's getting in preparation for a high school exchange event.
Hey, Gojo said he's going to go on some strange adventures, so, here it goes.
And then I laughed there were a few moments where I laughed despite the darkness of this episode. There was a moment where they're kind of debriefing, and Yuji calls Nanami sensei. And I don't know what it was in English, but Nanami's like, look, I'm not a teacher. Don't call me sensei. He's like, well, how about Nanamine? And he's like, I'm going to slap you.
No, they have really funny moments like that too. And that was pretty cool. we need to mention that pretty much the last scene in this episode, it's pretty much a contained episode. It
Yeah.
doesn't really do too much, but it does say, meanwhile they go down to, they cut to the Ninja Turtles underground sewer lair where Mahito lives. Basically, I'm just waiting for Ninja Turtle to walk down one of those sewer drains, but
Just slowly back away.
Yep.
Like Homer into the hedge.
Hanging out with the fat curses. Mahito's explaining curses to Junpei, really, basically, and says, "Hey, I'm giving you a breakdown of, how this works, and in the quickest way to, become either good at learning to use cursed energy."
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. It's interesting because so far what we've been told is that curses are the result of humans' negative energy about things.
Right.
They're bad vibes, if you will. People who, feel a lot of like anger or like places that are really traumatic. I think I mentioned that sort of ghost theory earlier as well, that there's that. But now there's also this other element, which is very Chainsaw Man-esque, which is, which I guess it's not entirely out of the ordinary here, is that curses of significant power can come from things that humans collectively fear.
Right. Well, I thought Mahito specifically stated that he's a kind of curse that is created from the hate people hold towards each other.
Yes.
So that could be more towards humans, because we know what Jogo is actually created for, mankind's what?
Fear of the earth.
Fear of the earth.
Well,
like
yeah,
Volcano
that was like the cool part where
Right.
he's like, there are three things that man have always feared: the earth, the oceans, and the forests.
Right.
And he said it took them a while to become intelligent, but now I call them my friends. And it
Right.
shows Jogo, Hanami, and the squid thing that we don't know the name yet.
Red squid.
Yeah, red squid. And it's like, oh, so those things are the manifestations of the collective human fear for those things. And then Junpei's like, what are you? And he said, I am the hatred that people feel towards each other.
Yeah, it just kind of sucks because I do like the Junpei character, man. I am a fan, and it's like, from the very get go of here, like, oh man, this guy's it's gonna be headed down the wrong direction quick.
It's very much I think a Shinji and Kaoru relationship, to make another Evangelion reference. There are a lot of things about Mahito that remind me of Kaoru, although Mahito is like obviously the much darker version of Kaoru. But
Even the voices are kind of similar too.
Yeah, oh yeah, in Japanese too, I would say. And I wouldn't say that Junpei is similar to Shinji voice-wise, maybe a little bit. I mean, female actor versus male actor, there's always going to be tonal differences or whatever. But certainly in terms of characterization, in terms of, viewing this very malevolent force in Mahito as a salvation from the things that hate you or that you perceive to hate you. It's a very Shinji Kaoru relationship, and I care about this kid, and it sets it up like, oh man, this guy's being led down a really dark path.
This is very apt pupil-esque if you've seen that film. Not going to spoil it, but
I haven't seen that film.
Same situation, kind of pretty fucked up.
And
Anyway.
we close on a little jujitsu stroll. We can tell that Nanami just hates Gojo. And this stroll, Gojo is just stalking him, and then Nanami reaches into his pocket for a bill while he's at a vending machine, pulls out a letter from Gojo, and it's just a picture of a penis.
Yes, like a little tiny penis.
Yeah.
It's just fun. I laughed. I was like, oh my, it just seems like that's totally in character for Gojo to do something like that,
Right. He's a little scamp, that Gojo.
He's pretty funny. And that, I guess, wraps up episode 9.
That's episode 9.
Yeah.
And that leads us into episode 10, Ideal Transfiguration. And this is where we picked up, you had mentioned earlier, the horror film club.
Yeah, I definitely jumped the gun on that one.
Yeah.
But this episode starts a really fun scene where Junpei is in the movie club with 2 of his other buddies. So he does have friends.
Right.
A couple friends in the movie club. And he's having a great talk with them about basically the Scream series, right? I think the movie's called, let me see, the movies are called Super Scary Movie 7, okay? They're talking about the horror series, Super Scary Movie 7, which is obviously a take on Scream, right?
Right.
They have the ghost face on the boxes of it, and it's pretty funny because Junpei references plot points from the actual films a few different times. How in part 3, it was like someone who was related to part 1, and then part 6 is someone who is related to another character who's a roommate of another character from the Scream series. So basically, it's pretty funny because they weren't pulling punches. He was basically saying direct references from Scream series, which is kind of fun to see. Like, hey, they're not even trying to pretend. They're just saying, hey, yeah, this is literally Scream series that we're talking about, and they seem to enjoy it, which is another fun, notable moment for me because I love cinema.
Man, I didn't even realize that. I'm not a Scream series aficionado.
I've seen them all. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know there were specific references. I thought it was just kind of generic. Where it's like, well, I guess in some film series that it does happen where there are these connections across multiple sequels or whatever. But
I just thought that was kind of notable and kind of a cool little fun little tidbit there.
Right, and we see that not just the bullies that beat Junpei up in the theater, there's this other bully named Shota.
Yeah, he's a dick, bro.
Yeah,
what a dick.
He just comes in. I mean, you guys have seen the scene. We don't need to recap the whole thing, but basically the other friends run out. They're cowards, and then they shut the door, and then you just hear Junpei getting his ass beat.
Yeah, but at least Junpei, you can see the little twitch in his eye. You can tell he's been spending time with Mahito. Because at least he's not as fearful as he was before. But he knows he's about to get his ass beat. But his attitude is slightly changed.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's exhibited pushback
before
as well. Like he said to the lady, I don't remember what her name is, the girl who accused him of looking at her boobs. He said, "You're not as cute as you think," and they just hang out with you because they want to bang you. And then with these guys too, I mean, all he did was he's like, "I'm taking my DVD home.
Yeah.
Can you please get off of it? I'm taking my DVD home." He gets kicked in the face and beat up for standing up to himself, or standing up for himself, I should say.
Yeah, but I do feel like that was a little bit of a defining moment for him too, to say, you know what, I'm not going to leave it. I am taking it.
Right.
In the previous scene when he's getting beat up in the courtyard outside the school, it was definitely, he was talking trash, but he was definitely he wasn't gonna fight back physically, just verbally. You think maybe we didn't see it, but maybe Junpei tries to put up a fight. I don't know. Who knows?
Right.
Anyway,
and we're exploring his thesis on life, where he's talking about the opposite of fondness is indifference versus the opposite of love is hate.
Right. This is back in the sewer. Right. So Junpei's already got his ass beat. He's hanging with Mahito, and he's talking the waxing poetic, as I like to call it, right?
Right. And it crosses a lot of barriers, too, because he's talking about how love becoming fondness in the quote was a mistranslation because Japanese traditionally don't use the word love that much. Right. So they turned it into fondness. But I think the ultimate thesis is, how could you ever think that indifference? He's like, I wish my bullies were indifferent towards me.
Right.
Because his perception, which is true, because people, harbor a lot of enmity towards him, is that people hate him. Right. And that's what he can't stand. And that's another reason that makes him very Shinji-esque, is the most painful thing outside of the manifestation of bullying and being hurt is that people hate him so much. That people are cursing him with their hate, which is a theme that's going to come back in the 2 episodes to come in a major way. But yeah, I mean, it's a whole little philosophical scene. But I really, really loved Mahito's very brief reply to this. He said, well, humans certainly love their wordplay because they're just always bullshitting themselves,
Yeah, that was a great little point there too. Great little moment. And it's pretty funny because we were talking about, hate towards humans and indifference towards other people. And then it kind of cuts right to Mahito showing off some of his cool new collectible action figures.
Oh, yeah.
Or his transfigures.
Yeah. Transfigured people small enough to fit in his pocket, a giant blob of a thing.
Really, really sad, really grotesque, because immediately they mention it. He's like, oh yeah, this was a human. It's this big, green, 30-foot, giant, bloated, carcass, basically, just sitting there.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. And he, like a kid burning ants with a magnifying glass, is just really like, I figured out how to keep them alive. Over a long period of time, even with really big distortions in their overall physicality. And it's just like, ugh. And Junpei seems completely fine with it.
Yeah. I mean, and we know Mahito himself is a younger curse, just by his body language and his energy as well.
Right.
So he's kind of learning
voice
new
as
things
well, too. Yeah. and so, of course, we know from earlier now. So now we're going to go on a little like spying quest, because we know that there was a video of Junpei leaving the theater, and we know that Nanami and Yuji have seen that video. So Ikiji, Nanami, and Yuji are setting up this plot where Nanami is going to go look for whoever killed the kids in the sewer, while Yuji and Ikiji follow Junpei and save him from like a stupid little fairy curse, basically.
Well, they, you know, I love these little. They're called fly curses, I guess.
Yeah,
because they're just little annoyances. They're not really even dangerous to humans. As a matter of fact, a lot of them can be created by humans, right? They're just like annoyance, or it's like, oh, you know, whatever negative energy, but like light negative energy, not like deep hateful negative energy like Junpei holds or Mahito has towards humans and stuff like that. It's very much like annoyance, or like
which a fly would be. Like your hatred towards a fly is that they annoy you.
They annoy you. They're not really going to do any damage, and they even talk about that. They make reference saying, "Hey, we got to see if A, he can see the curse, then or if he can't see the curse, then nothing to worry about. And if he can see the curse but he doesn't do anything, we'll still deal with him. And if we seize the curse and then he tries to fight it or deal with it, then we have to detain him basically immediately."
Yeah, or if he's a level 2 sorcerer or above already, we just have to wait for Nanami to come back.
Exactly.
Is the plan. And then we get more world building. I watched these episodes 2 times in preparation for this. I still don't quite understand the grading. I guess the lower number, the better, kind of like when you're learning Japanese at the N5 through the N1, the lower the number, the stronger. So I'm like, okay, so that's basically it. If you're a level 1 sorcerer, you're stronger than a level 2 sorcerer.
Right. And I think these fly curses are level, if it's either 5 or 4. I think it's 5 is like the weakest.
Yeah.
And that's it. So I think these fly curses are on the lowest scale there.
Yeah, I don't think they're strong. I just think that they're manifestations of annoyance. So
yeah, and if you can see them, then you can see cursed energy. So that's kind of cool.
So we've got this all going on just as Nanami gets to the sewer and starts fighting with Mahito.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy, right? Because it's at the very end of the episode. This is just like episode 9, episode 10. These are really fun episodes to talk about, but it wasn't too much heavy plot lifting in these.
No. Yeah. It was pretty just like boom, boom, boom. Here we go. This stuff is going, and I really, the more I see of Nanami, the more I love him as a character. I think that...
He got his glasses, kind of,
I assume, because he's holding his own against Mahito pretty well in this fight. But the fight starts with him imagining a sort of frivolous, frolicking Gojo skipping through a field of flowers saying, "I'm gonna kill you," and he is having an inner monologue about how Mahito and Gojo are similar because they're just frivolous and stupid. And I'm like, man, he is just running on the hatred that he feels for Gojo. Yeah. That's the source of all of his cursed energy.
Is Nanami's cursed energy his hate towards Gojo? That's a great one. What do you guys think? Tell us in the notes down on YouTube, guys.
That would be great. He's like, this is why I'm more effective than when I am a salaryman, because if I have to be in proximity to Gojo all the time, I'm a really strong sorcerer.
That's some first grade hate right there. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And speaking of hate, one thing we forgot to mention was when Junpei was being bullied in the previous episode at the beginning, a fat teacher walks by, sees it, and then walks away, like looks away, whatever. And now this guy has the balls to ambush Junpei at his house.
At his house, man.
Yeah.
Terrible teacher.
And even to say to him to just do that, like, oh, let's just sweep your problems under the rug kid thing. He said, hey, you know that those kids that died in the theater, they were your friends. Why didn't you go to the funeral? Yeah. They were your friends. And I mean, at this point, you can see that Junpei is on the verge of unaliving this guy big time.
And I'm so glad you actually made that point, DK, because this is important because like we're sitting here thinking now in 2024, like, oh, what a terrible teacher who would do this. But the truth is that's pretty common, in the world.
Yeah.
Like, every kid's dealt with something like that, whether it's their parents not realizing, bullying or getting picked on or something like that, like outwardly, like, because everyone has their own issues that sometimes they look right past it or they don't have time to deal with it. But this guy definitely saw it and just didn't do shit.
Adults are very avoidant to the conflicts of children, whether you realize it or not. Like whether you're a parent or not a parent, you will see it in yourself from time to time when there is an emotional thing happening where you don't know how to deal with it, and you're like, well, if I just don't deal with this, maybe they'll be fine or whatever. But I mean, kids are smart. Kids can feel when adults are avoiding their thing, and it turns into a festering resentment. So,
or even a curse.
Yes. So if you're a teacher, if you're a parent, try not to be avoidant with these things. Even if you don't know how to deal with it, it is sort of your responsibility, like it or not. Your responsibility is to be in proximity to kids and to help them. Don't be avoidant with this stuff because, this guy's attitude was so frivolous and like it was so annoying. I hated it so much. I could feel Junpei's hate for this guy boiling over, and Junpei is about to kill him. And then, of course, Yuji jumps in and just completely botches this like little contrived rescue mission.
The whole operation, it's so funny. They come up with the plot, and then Yuji's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he just falls over, and the curse kind of flows out. He's like, "Oh, you can see it. Cool."
And then the guy's like, "Hey, like, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I gotta talk with this guy." And the teacher's like, "Wait, you can't just show up and start saying that." And Yuji doesn't know what to do, so he just rips his pants down.
Pulls his pants down, just sitting there with his boxers, and he runs around the house real quick, and he makes a diversion, and they get out of there.
Right. and it's funny because Junpei is like, "Dude, I mean, you could have just pulled me away. It would have been fine." And Yuji's like, "Yeah, but you hated that guy, right? You don't want him in front of your house." Yeah. And it was, that's a good point. What a thoughtful young man Yuji is.
Yuji's making all the right moves to make friends out of Junpei.
Right, and so we're seeing more of this Nanami Mahito fight, and we're seeing.
We're in episode 11 though.
No. We're still in 10. We're still in 10 because we're seeing the transfigured humans, how he can make them grow and expand and grow bigger and stuff like that. And we also see that they still contain human emotions.
Yeah, that's the toughest part about it.
I really liked. I always like the contrast of characterization and character, which is something that Gege or Akutami or however he wants to be referred is really leaning into heavily, because this little transfigured human becomes a big one and starts crying and begs Nanami to kill him.
Yeah.
And Mahito just says this awful thing. He's like, "Oh, sorry. Sometimes I don't twist their soul enough," and they sweat a little bit. Ugh. And Nanami's just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But you can see that, and you can see inside he's just boiling with rage. And Mahito's even like, "No, you can't lie to me. Humans lie about their emotions. I can see your soul is trembling right now."
Yeah.
And then Nanami really steps it up because he's still got that salaryman mentality. And this is cool. Like, he has a time pact.
Yeah. I love that. He's like, "Yeah, I got to be done by 6 o'clock or 7.
He's like, "I started at 8:30. I'm going to be I started at 9:30. I'm going to be done at 5:30 no matter what." They go a little over.
He gets pissed about that.
And he's like, "Well, I guess I'm going into overtime." Yeah.
Ooh. Great anime saying right there. Well, it looks like we're going into overtime.
But we also see the stakes of Mahito's attack. I forgot. He can change the soul. Well, no, he asks the question. This is the world building thing.
Is it the chicken or the egg? Which comes first, right?
Is it the body or the soul? Does the body form around the soul, or does the soul precede the body? According to Mahito, it's the body forms around the soul.
Exactly.
The soul is the constant, and changing the soul changes the body. That's how he's able to transfigure people. And if he hits anybody a few times, he'll be, a skilled sorcerer that's sort of blocking it. If he touches their soul 3 times, he'll be able to distort them in the way that he can.
Them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whew, man. So the stakes are there because he hits him once. Yeah, and you're like, "Oh God, is he gonna die already?"
Yeah, when I saw this for the first time, I was like, "Dude," I have no idea about Nanami. Now I know that he's gonna last a little bit longer. I have no idea the future, but I do know that in this moment, it was an intense watch for me, at least, because you can see Mahito's a scary villain, man. This guy, we already knew from the first, 8 episodes. We were like, okay, I thought he was already like a big boss. We slowly find out as this peel is unraveling before us that he's actually a pretty young curse. We find out that he's not as experienced as we thought, but he still has an immense amount of curse energy and power that could destroy humans like that. So I was on the edge of my seat watching this fight with Nanami and Mahito because I had no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah, and we saw how strong Jogo was in his fight against Gojo, and Geto called Mahito Jogo's boss.
Exactly.
So we have to assume that Mahito is stronger than Jogo, and yeah, he's pretty formidable. This transfiguration technique, touching people's souls, disfiguring them, it's pretty messed up. Mm-hmm. And to cap the episode, we have a little JJ Stroll where Nobara can't find her jacket. Panda's wearing it.
Yeah. I didn't watch it again. I watched it the first time. But Dan, I'll let you cover all the JJ Strolls. I love them,
I'll do all the strolls.
Yeah, you'll do all the strolls. I think that's a good bit.
It's just a silly little thing because we know Nobara's personality is she loves, she cares a lot about what she wears.
She's a fashionable person.
And she loves being a tourist in a new area. Mm-hmm. She loves exploring a new area, being a tourist and all that. And so she can't find her jacket. Panda is wearing it. So she knocks Panda out. She's like, where's my skirt? Then Inumaki comes in wearing a skirt. She knocks him out. And then she's like, wait, that's not my skirt. That's Maki's skirt. And then it shows Gojo busting in on Yuju. And he's like, hey, I'm Nobara. And he's wearing her skirt. Yeah. And so that's the end of that.
Fun little scroll.
Which brings us into episode 11,
Narrow-Minded.
And now this fight is in overtime.
And this is so great. I love this fight. The animation is superb.
Oh yeah,
it's fun. You're gonna see a lot of high flying action through these sewers. And what's really exciting about this fight is that every attack, every block, you can feel it. You can feel the energy. You can feel the intensity of like, is this attack going to hit? If it doesn't, is Mahito's attack going to touch? Because with Mahito, you're worried that if he touches Nanami, he's going to die or change or be transfigured. So everything is very much like a high risk situation in this, and he's not even in a domain. They're just in the sewer.
Right.
And I laughed so hard because I had to say this, guys. If you saw this animation, Nanami's running so fast that it reminds me of those kids who wear those rollerblade shoes.
The Heelys?
The Heelys. Yeah. And Nanami's like doing this, and it's like, if you're not watching, then he's just basically, his legs are running really fast. It's like the Road Runner, and you can't really see what's happening on his feet.
Maybe his body is like dragging behind him a little bit.
Yeah, and so I just couldn't stop laughing because it was kind of funny. He's like, okay, it looks to me like Nanami wears Heelys, guys.
Yeah. He's a salaryman that wears Heelys.
Yeah, I don't get it, but that's what it looked like. So it's
characterization.
And he runs like 80 miles an hour. These guys, these humans who are sorcerers are pretty damn good at everything.
Well, his pact is time based. So when he goes into overtime, he unleashes a time dilation attack, which is really cool. Where he destroys this big thing, kind of like within the span of like a fraction of a second, he destroys this wall, appears next to Mahito, and he's like, I'm gonna retreat for now, but if you survive this, we're gonna mess you up again later, and then just disappears as the wall comes smashing down, crushing Mahito.
Yeah. And it's pretty. That's a really great point too, with the crashing of the sewer, because it does cut, I think, to Yuji and Junpei, right?
Yeah.
And then they said, hey, did you feel that? Like, did you feel the earthquake?
Yeah.
So we know that they're very close. Already. So that's a little foreshadowing that we didn't even realize until later, until I watched it like a second or third time.
They went to the place where all shonen male friendships are born, which is those little hills.
Yeah, those little hills with a little bit of water, like near a bridge.
Yeah.
Where there's like a little stream that's just not enough where you can just jump over it.
Right. There might be steps that go up the hill. You might see Makunochi Ippo practicing boxing on one of these hills or something like that. Yeah, it's where all male friendships in shonen are built. And we see a little bit of a flashback, which I thought was cool, because at this point we still don't know Mahito's plan.
Exactly.
We know that Geto has informed Jogo, if you want to win, you're going to have to render Gojo Satoru incapable of fighting, and you're going to have to get Sukuna's vessel or Sukuna himself over to your cause somehow.
Go to the dark side.
And so we see, Junpei sees the little button on Yuji's jacket, and Mahito actually told him earlier, if you see anybody with this button, that person is a sorcerer and you should be their friend.
Yeah, befriend him. So
Yeah.
so we get mixed emotions here because it's like you do see Junpei and Yuji have an actual connection, especially over cinema. They both love movies,
Right.
You know, so like they are connecting. So it's like is he really just becoming friends with him because he knows he's a sorcerer? And hell, he even asked Yuji, and he says, "Yep, I am." You know.
Yeah, Yuji is very indiscreet. He's like, yeah, I'm a sorcerer. And he's like, wait, should I have said that?
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, just whatever. And they bond immediately. Like they're immediately best bros because Yuji has all the same opinions about movies and knows as much. And Junpei's like, friend? You know, just so excited. And he's like, oh, so you love movies too. And I love Yuji's answer where he's like, well, I've been watching a lot of movies lately for certain reasons.
Yeah. It's just a cool moment there.
So a teddy bear doesn't punch me in the face while I'm practicing my curse energy. And then, of course...
then Junpei's young hot mom shows up.
His young hot mom that is like, if Misato had a kid.
Yeah. Another Evangelion reference right here for us. It's like, oh, yeah.
Which just keeps going. The more we see of her, I'm like, this lady is just Misato.
Misato part 2. She really is though. Oh shit, I didn't even think about that. Yes. Oh my god, she passes it on the table in the next scene, just like Misato does in episode 1 or 2 of Evangelion.
Right.
Oh my god. Okay, we'll get there in a second.
Yeah, and as all this is unfolding, Geto walks by.
Yeah.
And you see him and he's like, yes, all according to plan. You're like, oh, geez, okay. I mean, because I would assume, I feel like the easy choice to make would be you cut to a flashback. Mahito tells Junpei, hey, if you see a sorcerer, don't trust them.
Yeah.
They're your enemy. We're the good guys. They're the bad guys. But the fact he's like, no, be friends with them. That's good. That's good. You know, they're like... These are good people. It's like, huh? Okay, like, what is this gonna be?
Yeah, we can't really go deep into Geto because I don't know anything about him, but I am very interested in learning more about this character. He's like on the top of my list of characters I really want to know more about, but I'll be patient.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then he goes into the sewer.
Right.
Mahito reforms like a little snake and all that stuff, and they, you know, kind of reconnect. I mean, yeah, this guy, clearly he has something to do with one of the Jujutsu Highs, too.
Right.
I mean, it has been implied as such.
That he's an ex-sorcerer, probably, and he just quit and became, like, a curse guy.
Or he might even... I have a theory, maybe he works at one of the schools. Like, he's in a position of power or something. Like, maybe he's like a mole or something. Because he seems to know everything Gojo's going to do.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I definitely know he used to work there, or he was a sorcerer, or went to the school there for sure.
Well, he seems to know
100%.
Gojo's random attack on the road while going to meet with the principal. I mean, I know that there's a lot of coincidence in a lot of anime, but that doesn't strike me as a coincidence.
Right.
I think that he knew. That's just my theory. Hey, if I'm right, say something cryptic, but don't tell me.
Yeah, don't tell us for real, but please.
Yeah, Yuji, whenever he introduces himself, he always says something non sequitur, which is funny. Like, oh, I'm Yuji. I'm the type of guy who likes Jennifer Lawrence. Or when he meets Junpei's mom, he said, hi, I'm Yuji. That green onion doesn't suit you.
Yeah, I laughed too. This is the most random show ever. Like we talked about ups and downs, highs and lows with emotional stakes, but this show also has the most random ass ups and downs from like one sentence to the next. You know, the whole green onions thing, I was like, what the hell? This is the most random show I've ever heard ever. He's like, yeah. He's like, no, green onions, ew.
Right, yeah.
And then I guess his mom then invites Yuji to dinner.
Right.
He does the classic anime stomachs rumbling sequence, little fun animation there. And then they cut to basically him going to dinner.
Which is way off the rails for what their plan was supposed to be. I mean, we see that poor Ikiji is chasing a curse, the other curse with like a net.
Yeah.
He's just the punching bag of everybody.
This guy, yeah.
The whole point was to isolate this kid and question him about what happened in the movie theater. But now, because they don't know if he's dangerous or not, but now Yuji is just going into the belly of the beast. Like, sure, yeah, I'll go home and eat dinner with you.
Completely just doing his own thing. So that's a great segue right there. We get a really fun scene here, right? So Yuji and Junpei and his mother are all having dinner, and we already know that Yuji's a pretty fun, outgoing, gregarious kind of guy, right? But this is Yuji pulling out all the stops. You know, he is on tear after tear, joke after joke. He is just crushing it in the making a good impression on your friend's mom's game.
Right. He's just telling stories from childhood about a time when a student thought that a certain type of noodle was
a
like
bug.
it was like a bug from outer space
Yeah.
or something like that. And the mom is just losing her mind. She is just blackout drunk
Yeah.
at this point.
I mean, you can see cans all over the table. Total
Right.
Masato thing for sure.
Junpei is completely embarrassed.
Yeah.
And then the mom's like, do something else, do something else. And then Yuji does an impression of Wilson from
He
Castaway.
uses green onions like in the back. Like, no, Wilson. So another Western film reference there to the Tom Hanks film Castaway.
Right.
Yeah, another classic.
And the mom's like, I don't get it. So we see that,
Yeah.
sort of divergence between her and her son. Her son is the film buff.
Exactly.
Obviously, she is not.
And then Yuji has to touch base with what's his name?
Ikiji.
Akiji. I'm learning. Akiji, and then he's like, yeah, he's like, you on your way? What's the deal? And he's like, well, we're gonna watch a movie. He's like, what?
Yeah.
He's like, how long is it? Like, yeah, 2.5 hours.
We might order a pizza. I
Yeah.
might stay the night. Yeah.
He's like, I'll let you know. And he's like, damn it. So poor Akiji.
I guess he's like, oh man, like I was not supposed to let him get away like this.
Right.
Like now he's in danger. He said, I don't care if Gojo chews me out, but if the adult of all adults, Nanami, chews me out, I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
Nanami calls him. He's bleeding from his ribs.
Right.
He's like, I got to go see Ieri back at the school. I need you to come pick me up. And Ikiji is like, okay, sure. I'm just waiting to pick up Yuji and then I'll come get you.
What do you mean? Where's Yuji?
And he's just like,
Yeah.
oh man, I just told on myself.
Yeah.
So,
Poor guy. He just does not catch a break.
yeah, I mean, he's just one of those nervous people that everyone just takes advantage. If you have a dominant personality, you're just gonna whip them and order them around. If you're like Gojo, you're just gonna troll them constantly.
Right.
They're gonna be your punching bag. If you're a kid, you're not gonna listen to a damn thing he says, which is the case with Yuji. I mean, Yuji's now here. The mom is passed out, and this is a cool little moment because you start to see that Yuji and Junpei are forming a genuine friendship.
Yeah.
And they're talking about, Junpei asks him, so if you ever meet an evil sorcerer, you're going to have to kill him, right? And Yuji says, I wouldn't want to kill them because if I kill somebody, I will be opening my world to the idea of killing people.
Right.
Which I feel like is a path that I can never get off of. And that kind of convinces Junpei as he's going to sleep that night, you know what, maybe I don't want to kill people. Like
Right.
maybe I don't want to taint my soul. Maybe I don't have to do that, which is cool. I mean, but it's setting us up for some pretty. There's a punchline to all of this that's not going to be happy at
Yeah.
all.
I mean, he did also mention his grandpa, right? Being his
Right.
parent, because he's like, I saw his mom and dad. He's like, I didn't really know my mom, that much. He's like, you're kind of lucky to have one.
Right.
And you kind of get the feeling that it's kind of a reference to episode 1 when Yuji was visiting his grandfather before he died.
Right.
Just saying like, hey, protect people, always be a good, be a good person.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of like in a way, this whole scene is a little bit of. It's a little bit of throwback, but it's also a little bit of foreshadowing as well,
Yeah, and a little bit of mystery sprinkled in because I think he says I have faint memories of my dad.
Yeah.
And as we know, we're getting these little peeks into there's something with
Spreading the
his
seeds.
something with his mom and his dad.
Yeah.
We don't know what yet, but yeah, it's
Or who.
it's interesting. I mean, like it seems like, oh man, this is going to be a really positive friendship between these two. This
Right.
is going to be awesome.
And then Junpei also contemplates, just one last note on this part, is that he contemplates, hey, if I kill a person, will that taint my soul? He's
Right.
wondering, like, or is it just all irrelevant? Is life and death just a very, it seems like Junpei has a very nihilistic view on life in general,
Yeah.
right now.
Well, he's dealing
Yeah.
with a lot of trauma.
A lot of trauma.
Yeah, he's been bullied. He really can't stand the thought of people hating him
Right.
because it's he doesn't want to be cursed by other people.
Totally.
Because he can't reconcile his own emotions. It's like, he's being bullied. He hates back, but he doesn't want to be the aggressor. He wants to be the victim.
Right.
That's why he's Shinji-esque. He wants to be the person that people hate because he can't accept the fact. If we go into like the psychobabble, and I don't say that pejoratively with Evangelion,
Right.
the whole idea where it's like almost like if you're in that position, it's because deep down you secretly want to be in that position.
Yeah.
It's like you want to feel that way. You want to have these negative emotions. You want to feel like nobody's likes you because it gives you an excuse to not have to deal with the pain of engaging with other people. And that's where he's at. But you're right. I mean, he's convinced. I don't want to taint my soul. Everything's going to be good. He goes to sleep. And then his mom wakes up and there's Sukuna's finger in front of her.
In the middle of the night. So it's like, got to set the stage. It's dark. It's still in the middle of the night. She's like, oh, I guess Yuji and Junpei are gone or went to bed or something.
It's like, oh, it's this late. I got to clean up. Hey, what's this? And if we know about Sukuna's finger, it attracts curses.
So she found a Cheetos hot fry, a.k.a. Sukuna's finger on the table.
Yeah. And then there's just this grotesque Junji Ito-esque thing.
Yeah. And it's funny.
Behind her.
And it's funny because it is my best guess, it is a human female curse.
Yeah.
Because the lips are very big and colorful, reddish, and the hair.
And the manga even more so. There's 8 breasts in a circle.
Okay, I didn't know what those were. I was like, are those breasts or what are those things? But
yeah, I think they toned it down because it's I think a primetime anime show, so you got to tone that stuff down on TV nowadays. But in the manga, the designs for all of these curses are so much more. You could see a lot of Junji Ito influence for sure.
Yeah, check it out. Get it on Amazon or anywhere else you want to get or support
your
your local
bookstore. Yeah.
Yep. Barnes & Noble too. They all got them. So Jujutsu Kaisen, manga here.
Is the right stuff still around?
It
Get
is.
on the right stuff.
Yep.
That's a big... none of these things are sponsors. I don't know if any of these companies are good. Your local bookstore might be a haven for curses.
Exactly.
I don't know. But yeah, so now we have more of this Jujutsu Kaisen classic asynchronous timeline stuff where...
Kind of cuts to
the aftermath where the body was discovered on her bed covered in ice packs. So we're assuming that that's something that Junpei did.
Yeah, legs are gone.
Yeah, legs were gone, covered her in ice packs, took, a black kind of school outfit out of her closet, went to school that day with a Columbine-like intent.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah. It's it's really... Something not good's going to happen. Mahito casts a veil across the school, which Geto was like, good. This is an unsanctioned veil. The windows are going to see this. They're going to report it. Yeah, and we're going to attract Sukuna's vessel completely. We see a graduation ceremony in place. And who is the number one student with all the accolades, with all the money, with everything? It's Shota.
Bully number 1.
Bully number 2 from the movie club.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one who burned him with the cigarettes.
The biggest bully is what I meant by bully number 1. Yeah.
And he's bullying the dude who gives him a send-off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's and we find out in this sequence as well. I mean, it's not important because I think this guy's pretty much done after this episode or whatever, or the next episode. But it's basically saying, he only got first, the highest honors, the valedictorian, because he cheated off the smarter guys who he's still bullying. I'm like, this guy's a dick. Junpei, do whatever you want to this guy.
Right. When Junpei goes in, he knocks everybody out, puts them to sleep, except for Fat Teacher that he hates, and except for Shota, and then there's a lot of asynchronous stuff. I haven't read this part of the manga, so I don't know if the manga flows like this, because I know in the first episode there was an asynchronous presentation of time as well, because we're flashing back and flashing forward, and we see that Mahito basically tells them, oh yeah, people who hate people who have money and influence will put cursed objects in people's houses that they hate, which is what Junpei is most afraid of, is people hating him. And that attracts curses that then kill people. And this is also something, Junpei gave this up to Mahito earlier, because Mahito was like, do you hate me for what I did to those boys? And he said, well, no, but if it were my mom that was affected, I would go insane.
Yeah, Junpei is kind of stupid, guys. I love the guy, but how do you not know by now that this is a complete setup?
Yeah.
You're trusting a guy a curse, who is evil, who hasn't even tried to hide the fact that he's evil.
It's because it's Kaoru. He's giving him, even though weirdly, he is the personification of the thing that Junpei most fears, the hatred between people. But he says things to him like, oh, you're so easy to talk to. It's so easygoing talking to you. And stuff like that. He's giving him a level of affection that he's probably never felt from a peer. And
I get it.
Mahito is kind of a kid, so
I get it. I get the connection. I get the frustration. But when you're in the sewers and you see about 6 or 7 transfigured humans that are dead or asking to be murdered or killed, and they're crying tears, and it's a grotesque thing that Mahito did. It's like, Junpei, come on, get a clue here, brother.
Let me ask: were you ever bullied as a kid?
For sure, I think everyone has. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I assumed you were the bully.
Never. Dude, I was
I'm
like
just kidding.
No. No.
You were the one burning people with cigarettes that
Never.
you didn't smoke because I know you never smoked.
No, man. I got bullied back in the day all the time, man. It was tough, but I dealt with it. I trained to get stronger.
For
so
sure.
I would never get bullied again. No.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
'cause
I'm just kidding. I don't think you were a bully.
I mean, I was like 5'4" till I was like 17. I was like the shortest guy in my class. I
Really?
was picked on all the time. Oh yeah.
So you just
Little
Michael
dude.
Jordaned it. You just
Yeah.
sprouted all at once.
I said, yeah, screw that. Let's start working out. And I started training and I got bigger. So there you go.
All right, there you go. If you're being bullied, train, and then you will become the bully.
You will Toto that shit.
You'll become Junpei. So yeah, he starts torturing Shota, accusing him, and he's like, "It doesn't matter if you answer yes or no. You deserve this. You've done enough to deserve this." And then Yuji busts in at the last second. End of episode.
And obviously, like you said, asynchronous time thing again, because it goes back and forth. And the next episode, it shows another flashback.
Right. More flashback, more flash forward. There's no stroll at the end of this episode. There's just a fake preview where Nobara is narrating like it's a action film about some, I forget what it was about. It was going so fast, and I was like, I'm not gonna pause this. Like the jokes were going totally over my head, but it was a fun fake preview. Which leads us into the final episode of this pod. Whew. And this episode's a heavy one.
This is a heavy one. This is a great episode, though, too.
It's fantastic. Everything from the story to the animation to the performances to the themes.
I have one qualm, but we'll get to that. But yes.
We'll get to it when we get to it. The name of the episode is To You Someday. Nanami is in the sewer with a new person named Ino, and they're just cleaning up. He just kind of lets Ino let loose. He's like, yeah, just go and destroy all these, transfigured humans. Just know that they're human. You're killing people. But Ino doesn't seem to care. He's just like, yeah, let's do it. He just starts killing them. Yeah.
Well, he was like, oh, you might be up for promotion. So, you have to be, I guess, you have to, to get promoted in the world of Jujutsu Sorcerers, you have to be, I guess, sponsored by someone, or someone has to give you a recommendation to get a promotion, I guess, is what the situation is.
Yeah.
And what do you think about this character? Do you think he's going to ever play a bigger part? Or do you think he's going to be, what do you think is going to happen with this guy?
I don't think he's going to be wasted because his personality seems too defined. I don't know.
Really?
I mean, depending on where it goes after this arc,
Okay, what's his name again?
Ino. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
So
maybe.
You think he's gonna? Here's my take. I think, and this is just a bold prediction. I think he's got a funny smile, nice, couple cool character moments, but very not well defined. None of his clothing's defined. You can kind of see a little bit very generic anime face. So I see this, I'm like, immediately I think, okay, this guy's gonna die. Maybe not yet, but I think they might circle this guy back in like 4 or 5, 6 episodes, and he might be involved at the school or something, and one of the special grade curses takes him out or something. That's exactly the kind of character. It's like, hey, we do a little bit of groundwork here, and we'll save him for later, and then he'll die, so it won't be a huge consequence like losing like a Megumi or a Nabara or a Yuji character. But I think he's gonna die. That's my official. Hey, this dude won't last.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Don't tell us so.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what Ino's fate is. But
back on track.
As you were saying, not necessarily back on track because we're jumping timelines again back and forth between Mahito sending Junpei out. There was a whole thing where basically if this traveled in a linear way, Nanami's like, wait with the Kiji and then we're going to go together, or you're not going to go at all. Or something like, you're not going to go at all, and I'm going to go fight this thing. And Yuji's like, no, that's my friend. I want to be able to do it. And Nanami's like, well, being an adult, sometimes you don't get to do things the fast way or whatever. But then, of course, Yuji is now left with the Kiji, who nobody respects.
He never gets a break, this guy.
Ikiji's like, stop. You heard what he said. You can't go. And he's like, yeah, but you're not going to stop me.
Yeah.
So
he just it's like a freeze frame of Yuji just running right past him. You can't really see him, but you feel bad for that guy.
Right. And then we have Yuji fighting Junpei with the Shikigami, with the jellyfish, which is sort of a protective thing, which is interesting. It's really cool. While Junpei is now going into full overdrive into his waxing philosophical, the heart is the metabolism of the soul.
So this is what I was talking about. A couple minutes ago, I was like, there's one thing I don't like. I love it when they do go deeper in the plot points, especially when they're not fighting. But when they're doing fighting and they're waxing poetic, it's like, it doesn't have to be Shakespeare, guys. Real talk. Like I think it gets a little bit too deep to make a very simple point here.
Yeah.
They say, I just feel like high schoolers, I mean, I get it, okay? It's an anime, it's different. But high schoolers aren't gonna, like, be spouting irrelevant platitudes, like irreverent platitudes. I mean, they do make a point, but it's pretty stupid. I don't know. I feel like it's just like a waste of dialogue in some of these cases.
I feel like that level of verbosity is a feature of shonen storytelling. It's like you have a very simple thing. This kid feels that the world hates him,
right?
And he wants to lash out at the world that hates him. It's like you could do so much with that without being like, the heart is the metabolism of the soul and all that stuff. But I mean, but that's also what kind of makes it anime or in manga in a weird way. Like the people making these long, sort of verbose, articulate monologues about how they see the entire world. And then there's always that one character that's like, screw that, and just punches, that's where we are.
Yeah, but I feel like he could have just said, shortly, he could have said, basically, well, hate creates hate, and
right.
And I don't hate you, but I do hate the world we're in,
or even
something like that,
or even something just simple. It's like they cursed me with their hate.
Exactly.
My mom is dead because they hate me. My mom is dead because they hate me. Like, and now they're gonna feel my hatred or something like that. Yeah,
well, he had a very similar line to that, which was a great line. But the 2-paragraph build up to that was just like, dude, this is excessive. So they could have just went straight to it.
Well, even his punchline, that was where I kind of glazed over. I'm like, wait, what does that mean? Because I think eventually we'll get to it because there's a lot of fight to talk about. But his line is like the human heart can't be real because then that means that everybody cursed me to have a heart. And I was like, what the hell does that mean?
I don't know. I read Shakespeare back in the day, but this is not Shakespeare.
Shots fired. Gege Akutami, not Shakespeare. You heard it here first, folks.
Bring it on. I love the show, but come on. You got to realize some of these scenes is like, come on. So here's one line that just kind of, frustrated me. And fans, if you guys are going to come after me, It's fine. But I got to point this out.
He lives at 111.
What's the point of saving indiscriminately? Don't overestimate the value of life. People always pretend their emotions are everything, but the heart is just the metabolism of the soul, like you said.
Yeah.
It's all a delusion. Don't restrict me based on rules that are all an illusion. What gives anyone the right from stopping someone from taking a life? Nothing does. Likewise, what are we getting at here? So it's just really weird back and forth. And there are some great points in there.
You wrote in your notes, this is pretty ridiculous dialogue.
Yeah. I was like, well, I put in one sense, this is pretty ridiculous dialogue. But also this is the kind of shit that an emo kid would say. I know most high schoolers, I've got relatives who are in high school, cousins, nephews, nieces and stuff that they think they know everything, right?
Right.
Everything's the most important thing in the world. Which you realize it might not always be. So,
which is an important part of human development.
Exactly.
You have to be a sophomore at some point in life, and sophomore means a wise fool.
Yeah.
You have gained knowledge, but you are still wet behind the ears, so to speak. So
in the sequence, it's only I'm about to get off the tangent here, but I'm saying it's only a half hate because I get it because there are absolutely those people that are everything is deep and whatever, emo kids from South Park,
right.
World is torture, which I get because everyone goes through that phase. But also for the sake of watching the anime or reading the manga, sometimes we got to speed that up. But.
And you've said 3 times, this is not Shakespeare. Highlighting that. Shakespeare, famous quote, brevity is the soul of wit. We have heard Shinji make similar argument in Evangelion, but it is with extreme brevity.
Yes.
And it cuts to the emotion, not the intellectualization of the emotion, which this is, which I get. I like this fight, I like the sequence, but I'm watching the subbed version. The second time around, I just didn't read the subtitles because I'm like, I don't know what any of this crap means. I want to see the emotion play out. I don't want to hear like the intellectualization of the emotion.
And I mean, I guess in a lot of ways, I think that's the hard thing when you're comparing it. Like I always compare it, with dialogue to Evangelion,
right?
Because that's one of the few animes, because anime is drawn. It's not live people with emoting with their face. Like a lot of times you do have to use a lot of exposition to get your emotional points across. But Evangelion not once ever does that. They explain stuff. They go into detail about emotions and feelings sometimes, but for the most part, it's all in the subtext.
Yeah.
None of it's written out there. It's all in the subtext. Or their dialogue has something to do with the emotions they just felt. It's very much like watching real cinema, but animated. And that's my only love for Evangelion's episode. I'm not going to go into further detail, but we'll do that eventually.
But when it is overt in Evangelion, it's also incredibly uncomfortably honest.
Yes, and it's just there.
It's put in a way where you're like, I have felt this way before.
Right.
I have never felt that the heart was the metabolism of the soul and that the people's feelings are illusion. I don't even know what it means. I know I know that what it's supposed to mean is people hate me. People hate me. They have cursed me. Now I'm going to get revenge because people have cursed me with their hate. Now my mom is dead because of the hatred that the world feels for me. Now I'm going to do that. That's the subtext, but like the heart is the metabolism of the soul. Everybody illusion, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's like, the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, I did kind of just, kind of like whatever with this dialogue.
Yada, yada. And like we said in the beginning of this episode, we love this episode. This is actually a great episode. And after this turn...
this episode killed me at the end.
Amazing. Yeah, this is an amazing episode. So don't let all of our... trash talking right now make it seem like we don't love this episode. We do. We're just going on a quick side tangent about how sometimes the dialogue's a little hokey.
Hey, remember the rule. If you paid for a ticket, or if you bought a subscription to Crunchyroll, or if you bought a freaking tankobon, you are allowed to say whatever you want about it.
Exactly.
You're allowed to say you've spent your money. Now it is yours to say what you want about. And again, I love this episode. This episode destroyed me. It was just this stuff was a little cringe. This dialogue. If it hadn't been there, it would have made the beautiful animation and the fight with the Shikigami, the stakes, because there's this whole thing where I think it's Moondregs is the name of the jellyfish, has the ability to poison.
Right.
But it doesn't work on Yuji. And Yuji's just punching Junpei out a window, punching him into another window. He gets impaled at one point by Moondregs' drills.
Right here and here, like a couple times in his bodies, and even his... Well, not yet, but a couple times in his bodies.
He's doing it. But then there was one dialogue thing that I really liked. So
a cool fight sequence as well.
It was after Junpei said the really weird thing, like, well, then that means people cursed me with a heart or whatever.
But that was actually a great line, because that's pretty much summed it up. Or when he says, or at the very end, when Yuji is forced to react.
Well, when Yuji reacts, it's great.
That's great.
Because Yuji understands what he's saying more than we do, apparently. And he says, look, I'm sorry. Look, I was just saying stuff to you. I was just making it worse. I'm sorry I cursed you. I won't curse you anymore. Like, tell me how you're feeling. Tell me what happened.
No, okay. That was a great point. But I have to say, right before that, I have it in my notes here, we're talking about how this doesn't make sense. And then literally... Because when I'm watching the show, I'm like, this makes no sense. What is going on here? And then literally Yuji in his dialogue says to Junpei, I can't understand anything you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then I was like, okay, Yuji, I get it. So thank you for being our avatar for the situation. And
right.
What are you talking about here? He's like, I'm a high schooler. I punch people hard.
Maybe this is a thing where Gege Akutami loves Evangelion, but maybe he's one of those people who just loves Evangelion, hates Shinji. Right. And he's just like, I have to make a super Shinji, a Shinji that's so emotional that he's sort of indecipherable in the stuff that he says. And then Yuji has to be the audience's voice, just going, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I laughed so hard. I was like, thank God. And I was like, thank God, because I was hoping no one was, everyone was with me. My girlfriend watched it with me. She said the same thing. So thank you for being the voice of reason in this moment, Yuji.
Yeah.
And then big deal happens next, right? This is when Mahito pops out, right?
Yeah, after Yuji has comforted him. And there's a thing that we've been seeing in the intro all along where Junpei is at Jujutsu High with Yuji and Megumi and Nobara. They're all going to be buddies. And this is when Yuji extends that invitation. It's like, look, come with me. You'll have friends. You won't be alone. I won't curse you anymore or whatever. But then enter Mahito.
Yes, fucking Mahito. This guy.
Yeah, enter Mahito. He, blasts Yuji back.
Right.
He, like with a giant Tetsuo arm.
Yeah, just does this kind of deal.
Yeah, and Yuji is just screaming, like, Junpei, get away from him. I don't know if you know what this thing is, but, like, you cannot go anywhere near this guy.
Yeah.
And then Mahito Junpei realizes far too late the error of his ways.
Just to add insult to injury here, you know, Mahito just rubs it in right in his face because Junpei says something around like, "Hey, you don't understand Mahito. He's not a bad guy." And he's like, and then Mahito literally says, "He's like, man, you really are dense." You know, he basically says that you are. I don't have the exact dialogue in my notes here, but he basically says he's like, "Wow, you might be more foolish than I thought."
Which is why you're gonna die.
Which is why you're gonna die.
And then he transfigures him into a horrible, grotesque monster that attacks Yuji. And this is now we get a little peek into the plan. He's like good. Now Yuji's gonna be desperate. He's gonna finally make a pact with Sukuna to heal this guy. And Yuji does exactly as he says he's gonna do, but Sukuna does not.
Yes.
Because the curses don't know what we know, that Sukuna already has a pact with Yuji.
Right.
And also Sukuna loves human suffering. So when he sees Yuji freaking out, like, please just heal this guy, heal him in some way, Sukuna's like, I refuse. I'm not doing it.
No. That was a great sequence. So they're fighting, and then that happens, right? So what do you think this is a huge bit of plot thickener here, right?
Yeah.
Mahito is realizing in real time that, oh shit, that he's not going to be able to make a pact. And I didn't really, like, when you just reference that right now, I was kind of like in my own world here because I thought Mahito's goal was to convince Yuji to make a pact with him. But I thought it's the other way around. Like, curses are the ones that have to initiate the pact,
so
right?
I don't know. Can you make an external pact? I think that what he said was now he'll make a pact with Sukuna.
Okay.
He'll give Sukuna control, and Mahito is convinced that whatever their plan is, that Sukuna will be on board for it.
Okay.
But he didn't anticipate because when Sukuna refuses, Mahito's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, why didn't he accept that pact? He was just going to give him his body.
Yeah.
And then Junpei just dies. He dies.
Right.
We've built him up for 4 episodes, this plot. We abandoned the thread of story that we were on, which was Jujutsu High, this exchange event that's allegedly coming up that is going to be Yuji's debut. We introduced this kid. We gave him a Sukuna finger in his home, a Sukuna finger.
Yep.
I thought at this moment, I was like, oh God, this is going to be, he's going to be like the if you ever saw X, the Kamui of the Earth. He's going to be the Sukuna vessel that opposes Yuji's Sukuna vessel. But no, he just dies.
He just dies. So actually, major props to Akutami here on this one for killing him off. You know, like we built him up. He's been the main character for the last 3 or 4 episodes here. Basically, our whole episode here, he's basically been what it's all centered around.
Right.
Him and Mahito. So it's really cool to just see out of nowhere. It's heartbreaking. It's sad because not only is it Junpei, it hits harder because Junpei doesn't even die a human. You know? He dies this grotesque, transfigured being that's like,
he's like crying and begging. It's just, it's horrific stuff. It's horrific stuff. And then
great storytelling though.
And Yuji gets pissed. He just flies. He punches Mahito in the face. He actually causes damage because Mahito says, it's like, oh wait, he can touch my soul because he's aware of his own soul because he houses another soul within himself.
Yeah.
And then Yuji delivers a great line of dialogue. It's my favorite line of dialogue in the whole show. I don't know it verbatim. So in essence, it was what next spilled from my mouth came from so deep within me. It was as if everything I had ever said before was a lie. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, I'm going to kill you.
Yes.
And it was just like, oh my God. Like, I mean, it seems kind of corny, kind of cliche for like shonen
waves
stuff.
And stuff too. It's a really cool animation sequence as well.
Yeah.
And such a cool line, right? Because this is not Yuji, right?
No.
This is not his character trait.
This is him getting his soul manipulated,
right.
but by just the action. This is the whole plan. This is why Mahito wanted them to be friends. He wanted to kill a piece of his soul.
Yeah, but I was just referencing like Yuji in general. Like, like generally that is not who Yuji is, because he's all about saving people. It's the first time he even says, I want to kill you.
An episode before, he said, I don't want to kill people because I don't want that to enter my mind as a thing I could do. And now it's like everything I ever said before was a lie. He is proving the thesis of Jogo here.
Yeah.
The humans lie to themselves, that their emotions are impure, and that only by expressing like true hate or true malevolence toward another person are you telling the truth. And that's basically what Yuji said. If this were a Star Wars story, this would be his fall to the dark side right now. Yeah.
I mean, and then it's funny because Mahito's response when Yuji says, I'm going to kill you, was, don't you mean you want to exercise me?
Yeah.
You know?
So it's a completely pedantic, condescending response. Like, don't you mean exercise?
Yeah, just what a great scene.
And then they fight.
Huge fight. Great fight, great animation.
Huge freaking fight. I mean, just all the beats. Like now, when Geto was talking with Mahito earlier, Mahito's like, I feel like I've got enough practice against that Nanami guy that I can do even weirder stuff with my soul. I'm gonna go all out next time. So he turns his hands into these bladed whip things. He's
in the hallway. Yep.
In the hallway, he's smashing it up, and he turns his hand into like a rocket with these like paper threads or whatever, which Yuji grabs, and then he T-1000 spikes through his hands.
So Yuji has spikes in two big spikes in his body, like would be death to anyone else. And he's got like 3 or 4 spikes in each hand, in his hands too, which is crazy.
And he's still fighting. He's
bleeding.
He's still punching. He's running up. He's trying to beat the crap out of Mahito. And then more spikes go through, just like out of his abdomen, just spikes just bust out.
Yeah, thank goodness Sukuna's there to regenerate him.
Right, because now he's touched him. So now he touches his soul, and he touches Sukuna on accident.
Right.
And Sukuna says to him, you dare touch my soul?
Yeah.
So I'll let you get away with it one time because you aggressively mocked him like I did, but know your place, you dumbass. And then just kicks him out.
Yeah.
And Mahito is blasted back. Yuji's getting an upper hand. He's starting to beat him. And then switches places. He's about to kill Yuji. And then Nanami comes in. Yeah. So
to the rescue.
And this is where this episode ends. He said, "Well, I'll lecture you later. Tell me what's going on."
Yeah, and but what he also says, one more note is that he sees Mahito's nose bleeding.
Right.
Nanami's like, okay, and he confirms that he's like, did Mahito touch you? And he's like, yeah, he touched me. He's like, oh, okay, well, he's like, none of my attacks are gonna work on him now.
Right. He said. That means he either doesn't want to kill you, or in his mind, he's like, he either doesn't want to kill him, or he can't kill him for some reason. He doesn't want to kill Sukuna. And that's the end of episode 12.
It's a classic JJK cliffhanger. He says, Nanami gets a close-up on his glasses, kind of like DK here, and he says, we will exercise this one now.
Yeah. Boom.
End of episode.
End of episode. We get the weirdest Jujutsu stroll yet, where it's a bunch of curses playing the stab the barrel game, where when you stab the right spot, the little pirate pops out of the barrel. It's just weird. That's all there is to it.
These are the transfigured curses that Mahito made.
Oh yeah, the humans. Oh yeah, the transfigured humans.
Little children actually. So the strolls are great because that was a very heavy episode, and especially if you're not our age, you're younger, that could be a little more affecting than you'd think.
Right.
And just to see that in the end, it's like, hey, it's just a show. It's just for fun. Enjoy it. We're gonna have some levity coming up. We're also gonna have some deep, heart-wrenching stuff too.
Hopefully there's some levity coming up because man, these episodes, these were tough.
What's your overall opinion on these 4? What, 9 through 12? What do you think?
My favorite so far, setting up Junpei as either the dark antithesis of Yuji, because Gege is playing with a lot of these antithetical character pairs. You have, Nanami and Gojo. You have, I think Nobara and Megumi are kind of opposites in a lot of ways. There's Mai and Maki for sure. It seems that they're different in a lot of ways too. So I thought that this was going to be a running theme. I thought that in many ways Junpei was going to be the Sasuke of the show, where he was
Right.
just going to be the person that Junpei really, or not Junpei, that
Naruto-
Junpei was going to be, that Naruto really wanted to
Naruto,
save. Yeah, and it was going to create dilemmas and force him into like horrible choices. But the fact that we spent so much time learning about this guy, caring about him, seeing his fall from grace, and then seeing his redemption only to die was horrific.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you can say about Gege Akutami, he puts the reader through what he wants the characters to go through, which is superb storytelling. It was a gut punch, man. This was heavy stuff. I was like, I thought we were going to a school festival.
Right, I know.
This is where we are. Gojo, you know, he bit off more than he could chew with trying to prepare Yuji for what was to come.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
not what he expected. He expected maybe like a grade 4, 3, something like that. Not a special grade curse, especially one this dangerous.
right.
And that's why I do love these episodes, because they were so much fun. Because anytime you get to see like the Jogo versus Gojo fight, or even the Mahito versus Nanami and Yuji fight here, it's just really cool to just see all this, you know, these special grades fighting. Like, these are the ones I really long for.
Yeah.
You know, you can get a couple filler ones every now and then, but we've got a 3 or 4 episode arc where some crazy fight sequences go down. Like, that's the creme de la creme of this show.
Yeah.
So what can we say? We love it. It was a blast. Thanks for tuning in this week.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank
Yeah.
you to all of our subscribers who keep coming back. If you're new to this pod, please hit that like and subscribe button. It
Share
really
it with your
helps us.
friends. We love to hear from you guys. Let us know. Remember, no spoilers ahead.
No spoilers. Be good, senpai, and we'll catch you next time
Later.
for episode 13, which is called Tomorrow.
Next week.
Next week.
Peace out. All right.
All right. Boom.
Boom.